Hey there, I'm Kat, and today we will be working a little bit on unwinding our hips, thinking of trying to get them like melted honey in a way. So today we're going to potentially need a few props if you have them at home. If you have them at home, you can grab some blocks. If you don't have blocks, you can always use a stack of books or anything that's really going to bring the floor a little bit closer to you. And grab some type of blanket, cushion, whatever that looks like. And another big thing, if you're at home, that I always say is you can grab pillows. So grab pillows, add them to your practice as needed. I'll give you some cues for when those should come in. And let's get started. So we'll start by putting ourselves a little bit towards the center of the mat, planting the sit bones on the ground. We'll have our fingertips just placed behind us, and our feet are about hips distance apart. And we'll start here just by opening up the hips. So knees are up facing towards the ceiling. Inhale. Press the shoulders back, getting the chest nice and long. Take a deep breath in. Belly button comes in towards the spine, so keeping it a little bit tight, engaging the core. Take a deep breath in, flexing the toes here, and then exhale, dropping the knees over towards the left side. Go as far down as feels good for you, and then inhale, coming back up. Exhale, switch. Inhale it up. We call these windshield wipering, back and forth. And go back and forth as many times as feels good for your body. You really want to try and keep the hips as close to on the ground as you can. For some of you, it might look like your knees coming all the way down. For me, my glutes come up when I move all the way down to the side. And for some of you, it might just be a little bit, depending on how your hips are feeling today. But just starting to warm up the body here. Breathing in and breathing out. A few more rounds, this feels good for you, trying to keep the torso up nice and straight. And then come back up to center. So slowly bringing the knees in. Next, we'll come into a butterfly position or Baddha Konasana. Soles of the feet are going to come together. Kind of move your glutes and the extra tissue out of the way to get a nice firm and stable foundation here. You have a few options here. So you'll have either your feet and your heels closer to the pelvis or further away, and each one will give you a little bit of a different stretch. So if you're coming a little bit closer, it might mean that your knees are coming all the way up, and that's what the support for these props is for. So you can use this opportunity to grab a pillow, maybe grab a block, and place them on the outside of your knees. Taking a deep breath in here, and maybe we just settle in for a few moments. Trying to keep the spine straight, dropping the shoulders down. Notice if you're holding any tension in the neck. If you're holding tension in the shoulders. Breathing in. On your exhale, maybe you start to come forward just a little bit. Those fingers come over to the toes. Being gentle with ourselves here. So even if you can go further, we're allowing ourselves to just relax effortlessly into this space. Breathing in. Exhale, maybe coming down a little bit more. Maybe the elbows start to soften. And maybe if you're here, maybe you have 2 blocks. Maybe that still feels good. Maybe you move down to 1 block. Maybe you play with the height of the block because you've been here for a few minutes and it's starting to feel a little bit tight. Maybe you move them to the side and see what it feels like to open the knees all the way up. Shifting from side to side, take a deep breath in. Exhale, coming down just a little bit more, trying to keep the spine straight and elongated here. So if you find yourself hunching over, just roll those shoulder blades back, taking a deep breath in and exhale. Maybe relax the chin down. Notice how you feel. Feel the body. Feel the breath. One more deep breath here. Exhale. Slowly walking the fingertips up. Slowly helping your knees to come together. So take the hands and just bring them on the outside of the thighs, squeezing in. Engage the core by squeezing the belly button in towards the spine. Cross the ankles and then roll forward onto the knees, planting the hands. Fingertips nice and firm here. And now we'll move through just a few, not so much cat-cows, but we're going to be a little bit intuitive with what our hips need here. So you're in a tabletop position. Shoulders are stacked over the wrists. Fingertips are spread nice and wide. You want to get the fingers as nice and wide as you can. Really trying to create a firm and stable base for yourself. The tailbone is slightly tucked under, so we're not wagging our tail from side to side just yet. And slowly start to make some figure eights with your hips. That sounds a little bit strange, but just think of rotating side to side. As you inhale, your right hip comes up towards the shoulder and then down. Left comes up and then down. Move with your breath. Maybe they start to get a little bit bigger. Maybe you move the low spine with it. But this is your moment just to see where you're feeling tension. Or maybe you feel smooth like butter. Not me. Soften the belly. You can start to move into some flexion and extension of the spine, so maybe arching the back up as the chin tucks in and dropping it down. And you can do this just straight forward. Or you can keep those hip rolls going as well. And then switch to the opposite direction. And then bring the knees about as wide as your mat, maybe a little bit wider if that feels good. The toes come together and sink the hips back towards the heels. Maybe your hips rest on the heels. If not, you can always take a block, place it just underneath, finding a little bit of security and stability here. Or what I love is a blanket. Also, sometimes my knees do, like my hips do touch my feet, and it still feels better to have a blanket or a cushion, so do what feels good for you. And then sinking all the way back with whatever support you have, bringing the chest as close to the ground as you can, dropping the forehead down to the mat. Knees are wide to make room for the stomach, for the front body, and allow yourself to melt into the mat. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, exhale, maybe your arms stretch a little bit further forward. Amazing. Hands come underneath the shoulders, press yourself up, remove whatever props that you have. Knees come just about hips distance apart, placing the hands on the hips, take a deep breath in. You can place a blanket just under the knees if you would like. Exhale, rising up to a nice straight position. Inhale, bring it back. Exhale, coming forward. We're just working on activating the quads here. Maybe squeezing the glutes as we get to the top. Think of this as like the anti-desk job activation. And coming forward. We're spiraling the thighs out slightly as we squeeze the glutes, coming forward. One more. Now let's give it one more. Coming all the way up, take a deep breath in. Exhale, drop it down. Shift the weight over to the left, bringing the left hand down if you can, and then we'll step the right foot forward. This can take as long as you need to get there. Maybe you have that cushion underneath the back here. Grabbing your blocks or your books. Coming into a nice supported low lunge here. So what we'll do today, knee directly over the ankle. Toes are spread nice and wide, and we'll get into that in a second. And you're lunging into the front leg. So you don't want your hip to be directly over the back knee, but instead you're coming slightly forward, maybe at about a 45-degree angle. Soft back foot. Breathe. Exhale. Inhale, lift the toes up so your feet are still planted firmly on the ground. And if you can, spread your toes as wide as you can and then plant them back down on the ground. Deep breath in. Exhale. Deep breath in. Exhale. Deep breath in. Exhale, slowly coming all the way out of it. We'll press into the blocks or the books or the floor. Try and levitate the right foot up and then step it back. We'll kneel it back, I guess, knees come together. And now we'll switch sides. Left foot comes forward, planting the foot down, finding that same alignment, knee over top of the ankle. Breathing into it. Maybe one side feels a little bit better than the other. If you don't want to use blocks or you don't have them accessible, you can always place them on your hips, but this will be a little bit more of a stretch kind of in the thigh here. Breathe into it. Try and engage the core, squeezing the belly button in. I think of it as like people say knitting your ribs together or like trying to squeeze into a pair of jeans that maybe is a little bit too tight but makes your butt look great. That's kind of how I think of it. Feel your breath. Exhale. Spreading the toes here, kind of gripping the floor. Deep breath in. Exhale, one more time. Deep breath in. Exhale, shifting back, trying to lift the left leg, bringing it back, knees come together, sink back onto the heels. And then sitting down in a comfortable position here. Next, we will move into what is, I think, one of the most frequently misdone or a pose basically that every time I always see people are really confused as to what the teacher is asking them to do, how it's supposed to look in their body, how it's supposed to feel. And that's fire log pose or double pigeon. We will do two options here because fire log pose is a more advanced pose. You'll definitely feel it in your hips, but it is accessible. So come up to the front of your mat, and what we're going to do is start by taking our bottom shin. I'll start here with the right, and you're going to make it parallel and lined up with the mat. So that means it shouldn't be bent in, it should be straight out. It should be following the same line. Foot is flexed, so that means it's nice and active here. Adjust to make sure that the flesh is kind of removed from here. And then you're going to take the other leg, take the ankle bone and place it on top of the opposite knee. What that means is this might be what your fire log pose looks like. If that is the case, this might already feel like a lot. It's very often already feeling like a lot at this stage. Blocks and props are wonderful here to keep that alignment because you'll start to feel that stretch. You can have the block helping you up here, or if you're a little bit closer to the ground, you can place a little bit of a blanket for a little bit of a cushion. And for some of you, when you place that ankle right on, you will have a fire log kind of nice and neatly stacked. So I'll invite you, if you are looking down at yourself and sitting like this, this is most commonly what I'll see when people are doing fire log pose. I want you to make sure that your feet are active. Ankle bone should be on top of the knee, and then your knee should be on top of the ankle bone. Take a deep breath in here. If you can't feel it, see if you shift your hips like a little bit side to side. If you start to feel a stretch in your IT band, taking a deep breath in. Maybe you've got your props. Maybe staying up here feels good. If it feels good, you can also take a little bit of a forward fold. This is where I'll really start to feel it, but do not lose the flexion in your feet. We'll be here just for a few breaths. Deep breath in. Exhale, try and keep that spine straight. Deep breath in. Exhale. One more deep breath in. Exhale, rise it up. And other side. Switching here, so now your left leg is going to be at the bottom, making sure that the shin is aligned to the front. Knee and ankle in line, taking the ankle of the opposite foot, putting it directly on top of the knee. So essentially, not that we would ever want this, but if you were to like stick a skewer through, they would be kind of in one rotation here. It's very graphic, knee over top of the other ankle. So for me, I can already feel that I will want a little bit more support probably on this side. So I'll take a blanket, take those blocks, see what side feels good for you. And then adjusting the hips so that you can unwind the flesh. And if it feels comfortable, leaning forward. Breathing in and breathing out, keeping the activation in the feet. Deep breath in. Exhale. Deep breath in. Exhale, coming out of it slowly. Unwind the feet here. Maybe shake it out a little bit. Sometimes I like to kind of do whatever this is. Pretend that I'm a massage therapist. And then we'll make our way down, lying on the mat. Final postures here. We'll start on bringing the right leg up, knee comes into the chest. And drop the ankle just over top of the left leg. A gentle figure four stretch. Now you can leave it here. If you want to bring the heel a little bit closer to the glute. Adjusting yourself on your mat and just finding the belly. So placing the hand over top of the belly. If you want a little bit more, you can inhale, bring the left leg in, so you're coming into a little bit more of a stretch here. And then interlace the fingers behind the back, left leg. You'll start to feel the knee coming in, but try and press the right knee out, feeling an activation. Breathing in and breathing out. Keeping the feet active. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. One more deep breath in. Exhale. Slowly, keeping the core engaged, slowly, slowly, slowly. Drop the foot down, release and unwind the right side, and then inhale, left leg comes up and crosses over, figure four here. Maybe this feels good, maybe hands planted on the belly. If you would like, knee comes in, keeping both of the feet engaged. Left knee, is coming out. And then interlace the hands just behind the right thigh, resting on your mat. Actively pushing the left knee forward so that you're feeling the stretch along the outer leg. Take a deep breath in, exhale into it. Deep breath in. Exhale. And two more here, allowing the shoulders to melt back into the mat. Take a deep breath in. And then exhale. Final one, maybe it comes a little bit closer, or maybe you've given up and you want to just be in your Shavasana. Same. Deep breath in. Exhale, release it all, planting both feet down. Extending the legs out in front of you. Lift the hips up and slowly spiral the legs to the outside as the palms face up. Soft gaze. And then exhale, closing the eyes, allowing yourself to melt into your mat. Taking a deep breath in here. Exhale, let it go. Breathing in. Exhale. And staying here as long as you need.